people keep asking if I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
And welcome to another episode of the Miles Offside podcast, where we talk a little bit of football and a whole lot of nonsense. My name is Oscar Puente, also known as Footy From Afar, and with me, as always, is my co-host and super producer, Ian Stimson. Don't call it a comeback, baby. It's me. How you doing?
Very good, mate. Lovely to have you back. How are you?
Nothing really crazy going on in my world or any of the, various fictional or real entities that I may be a fan of.
I was going to say, should I call you Oscar or should I call you Zodos?
Zotos. Zhotos. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, of course. I didn't know how I should address you these days.
Both will suffice. Maybe I should change my intro to also known as Zotos Damask. It doesn't roll off the tongue as much as Footy From Afar. For those of you that have no idea what we're talking about, patreon.com/milesoffsidepod, and you can join us on the Slack and get access to private episodes about me planning a trip to that ridiculously overpriced but nerd heaven called Star Wars Hotel, aka the Galactic Star Cruiser, the Halcyon. I'm fucking going in July, dude. It's so exciting.
It genuinely sounds incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's Westworld, but Star Wars.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Course, yeah.
I'm so in, and I needed the distraction of something to plan, given all the fucking craziness going on at Chelsea, which we will get to, folks. Don't worry. I have done quite a bit of research to know what the hell is going on, or at least as far as anyone can know what's going on right now. I will do my best. But Ian, no Chuck. We still can't get the three of us on at the same time, although keep your ears out for next week. I've done this before.
Talking.
Yeah, because thankfully we are those random 2 weeks in between America changing their clocks and the UK changing their clocks, which means that I can actually get home in time to record at a time when the two of you are still awake.
Yeah, exactly. Our schedules will align for next week. So
so it should be all three of us. But since Chuck isn't here, tell me about the fish. What's going on with your fish, man?
Fish chat's back. Good. Well, I'm now fully stocked. I got my last few fish over the weekend, so I've got a fully stocked tank now, and fully stocked with fish. I'm going to leave it to settle down for a little while and then see how it is, and then see if I can get some frogs. I might be able to get some dwarf frogs.
Ooh, look at you. How very French of you.
Sure.
Or is it only if you're eating them? I don't really know. So what kind of fish is in there? Is it tropical fish? Is it cold water fish? Do you have to worry about the saline levels? I want to know. I've never had fish. I want to know about this. Tell me about the fish.
It's tropical freshwater, so I don't have to worry about salt levels. I do have to worry about temperature and just general water chemistry like pH and stuff. So yeah, I can tell you all sorts of stuff. I've got bits of peat in the filter to generally acidify the water as the filtration happens. It's all very exciting.
All right. What about the fish? So these are tropical fish. Are we talking Caribbean? Are we talking where else do tropical fish live? In Australia, I would assume. I don't know.
I've got a tropical community fish, but probably more Amazonian than anything. I've got some neon tetras.
Okay, look at you.
Yeah, some red-eye tetras. It's some catfish. It's all good fun.
Nice. Are they pretty? Are they all colorful and stuff? Do I need to bring my chroma glasses next time I go over to your place, which would be the first time?
Yeah, they're quite colourful. Yeah, definitely. You'll have to bring your glasses and just check my Instagram. It's all I've been posting about recently.
Fair enough. I mean, I know all of this information. I'm just giving you a chance to talk about it. Someone.
See, that's why you're such a good broadcaster, Oscar.
That's what they tell me. You could just do a half-hour drop of you rambling about your fish the way I do about Star Wars every once in a while on patreon.com/milesoffsidepod.
And watch the contributions just plummet.
People seem to like me geeking out to an extreme level. I don't know. It must be something charming about just being this is what I like. And I know it's dorky, but I like it.
I think there is, because people like passion, don't they? And I have very little general interest in Star Wars other than, I like Star Wars. I love Empire Strikes Back. I don't like Return of the Jedi particularly. It wasn't formative for me when I was a kid. It wasn't something that was in my childhood, but I listened to the whole thing while I was driving back home from work today.
Bless you,
I was like, This dude absolutely loves this, and I'm mega happy for him.
Yeah,
Like, it was just good times.
Well, genuine. I did, for the record, make that one a free public episode because I did have a couple of like non-soccer Patreon type friends who wanted to hear me talk about it. So that is available now if you do genuinely just want a half hour of someone being unabashedly happy, which is a, nice thing to have these days. But if you are joining us for the first time, thank you. We are very happy to have you. We are one American and two Brits sometimes. And we like to talk about the Premier League, but often get distracted. If you are back, even better. We love it. We appreciate it. We love you. Hope everything is well. Say hi to your mother for me. And, patreon.com and then review and tell a friend and all those other things. But we'll kick things off as we often do around these parts with our famous segment, Rapid Fire News. All right, there's no news, Ian, but Chelsea's burning down. We might get to the soccer, but like very clearly this is the thing to talk about in soccer right now anyway.
Yes.
And like I'm a Chelsea fan and haven't been on this show in a few weeks, so I got some takes.
The spiciest of takes.
Yeah. So I figure we'll attack this from a few different directions. Chuck's not here, so this is just gonna like buckle up. We're doing Chelsea talk. This is the Abramovich Sanctions episode.
No worries, yeah.
I figure we'll talk about like what they actually are, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of confusion, a lot of people who are like, I don't know, Chelsea's like bankrupt or getting sold or something. So
Yeah.
we'll lay out the facts as far as I was able to find them in my research. A lot of which is unknown, which is part of the problem.
Yep.
Then we'll kind of talk about what happens next, both in the short term and in the long term, and kind of go from there, and how it's emotionally destroying my life on a daily basis. But let's keep it to the cold hard facts to start off.
Light and shade.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to give the English hasn't been paying as much attention as possible to this story perspective on this, and then I'll kind of fill in the gaps?
Yeah, can do. So it's a weird one because I have to admit I was very surprised that our government even sanctioned Abramovich. It's been spoken about before. We have had Russian operatives kill people on our soil before, and we haven't sanctioned people. We have had. I don't know how much you know about that, because I never know how much this sort of news travels. But we had Russian spies.
Yep.
Poison someone on our soil, and we didn't do very much at all.
For those podcast fans out there, there's an amazing episode of the Do Go On podcast about that topic that you should check out for more information.
Is there? Okay, good. So I was very surprised that he was sanctioned at all. And as it stands now, we're recording on Monday night, I believe the UK is the only country to sanction Abramovich.
He had stuff seized in the US. I don't know about like full sanctions. I mean, I'm nowhere near a legal expert, which is going to be the most important preface to all of this today.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. So, I think even in the last episode, which was a mere week ago, which shows how fast moving these things are, I said outright, I can't see that happening. I can't see them sanctioning him, because I thought if it was going to happen, it would have happened by now. Yeah,
so in terms of the timeline of this, last Monday, you and Chuck recorded, and he had at that point tried to do some dodgy shenanigans to transfer stewardship but not ownership of the club. That got turned down, and then he said he was going to sell and give money to a charity, but the charity for who? Not clear. That was where you all were last week, and I think that you are not the only people. I think that was the general sort of pessimistic but like realistic view on the political situation in the UK, that like probably nothing was going to happen actually in terms of sanctions. And then Thursday, overnight, here, early in the morning over there, the news leaks that he has officially been sanctioned, and like all his property has been seized, or not seized, sanctioned, frozen, which I'll get into that distinction in a bit, because I did research, like I said. And I think a lot of people were caught off guard by the sort of swell of political outcry for action to actually be taken against these Russian people, given obviously everything that's going on, that I think empowered the UK government to act more quickly than other governments. I think that there was a universal like, bro, we are so fucking complicit in this. Can we like do something about this, please? That just really swept over. Like, he wasn't the only one. There was a lot of oligarchs sanctioned, and all sorts of properties and companies and all that sort of stuff is...
absolutely. Mostly people who have big involvement in Russian banks and things like that. But, so that was the situation. That it was, I think, relatively unexpected. But then the crux of what we were saying was that Chelsea won't like immediately cease to be, or won't be taken into state ownership, which would be bizarre.
Yeah.
Did happen because in the if it wasn't Chelsea, and that's not saying if it wasn't Chelsea, if it wasn't any other football club, just if it wasn't a huge football club, then and just a company, then that company would have ceased trading. It wouldn't necessarily have ceased to be, but there could have been literally no money in, no money out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess this is a good place to bring in that distinction between sanctioned and seized, and sort of what a sanction actually means for a business. Because like you said, this is a really important sort of context for when we're where we think things might go and what's even in play, is that Chelsea is already getting favorable treatment.
Yeah.
So like they're already getting a leg up and a sort of support, which is indicative, I think, of like the government's intentions in this situation, but also like don't get too greedy in terms of what you think is even possible from here going forward, because like they're already doing us a solid. But in terms of what does a sanction actually mean, I think that in the US, my understanding is that for the most part, if you get in trouble in a major way like this with the federal government, that your property tends to be seized over here, which means that the government takes it, sells it at like an auction, and then takes that money and puts it back into its own budget, taxpayer, basically as income, right, for the government. That is a thing that happens regularly, especially on the show Justified, if you've ever watched it.
I have not.
It's a great show. You should watch that.
Okay.
But yeah, like seizure is when you get your assets taken and then they get sold and then that money disappears into the ether. And that's not what this is. This is a sanction, which means that everything is frozen, but it is still technically owned by Roman Abramovich. That is an important distinction here legally, is that it is still his club. These are all still his factories and other businesses. And when that happens, like you said, all money immediately in any direction frozen. If you have a factory, you turn off the machines and the workers go home and you can't buy new parts and you can't sell anything you have. You just are like pause. Like someone straight up hits the pause button on you as an entity and as a business. And then down the line, after the legal matters get settled and whatever, then they figure out what's going to happen to you. But most of the time you just go out of business because like there's no money.
Yeah. Exactly.
And people lose jobs. And this is a nasty side effect of things like sanctions, that it affects domestically and abroad people that are sort of innocent workers in this whole process. But that's how sanctions work. It's supposed to be an extreme and harsh measure that like instantly shuts everything down. And that is what legally is supposed to have been what happened to Chelsea. Is they're just like, okay, time out. No one plays. No one does anything. And then because Chelsea is sort of important to the community, and like Boris Johnson came out and said this, and other people in the government have come out and said this, they got given a special license to do things in a weird and restricted way to sort of kind of keep being Chelsea for now, with already special permissions. And that's kind of where the gray area comes in, because this is like very, very genuinely unprecedented. Like we talk a lot about unprecedented times in the last 2 years and blah, blah, blah. Like this is unprecedented. No one knows how anything works here. They do have some special permission to do some stuff to kind of sort of keep existing. So I was just wondering, like, what do you know of the license, of the special things that they're allowed, what the restrictions are in place? Like how do you understand Chelsea are continuing to operate? Because they played 2 matches since then. Both wins. Yay.
Yeah. Football happened, yeah. So, yeah, there is a list of things that Chelsea can and can't do now with these sanctions in place. So they can still play their matches and that sounds ridiculous, but as an incredibly basic thing. But as you said, other businesses, like a factory, like exactly like you said, shut down, people don't get paid. Chelsea can still play their matches, home and away. They can still, for now, pay the salaries of all players and all staff. They've been allowed to do that. That would not happen in a normal company being sanctioned scenario. Mm-hmm. They can still provide all match day things like steward security, food and drink for fans, because there was even originally talk of food and drink for fans is money coming into the club.
Yeah, there has been actually an amendment to the license in response to that. So on Thursday, they were only allowed to spend $500,000 per match to stage a match.
Yep.
And they weren't going to be able to afford to have like food and drinks for people. So then the government came back and upped. They changed some of the rules on Saturday so that they could like feed people basically. So I think the new amount they're allowed to spend per match is now $900,000 for that exact reason, because of food.
Okay. I didn't realise that had been expressly, done as a separate thing. Okay. So, and these last two of things they can do are quite big points that we'll probably go into. They're sort of part of the same thing, but they can still receive TV broadcasting money, mm-hmm. and the club's sale can still go ahead. Now, this is something that a lot of, you said about misinformation, a lot of people have said the club can't be sold now. That's not true. The club sale can still go ahead. But, and as I say, TV broadcasting revenue can still come in. But that money, be it from TV broadcasting revenue or from a club sale, is frozen. It cannot be moved. It cannot be given to Roman. It cannot be used by Chelsea. So, those things can still happen. They can still receive the big TV money and they can still sell the club. Like, as in, it's such a weird situation. A sale can happen.
Technically.
Yes.
But that's like very much a distinction from will.
Yeah. The things that Chelsea can't do is they can't sell new tickets to home or away fans. Only existing ticket holders will be allowed to attend matches at Stamford Bridge. I mean, that seems a bizarre thing, but that's the situation we're looking at the minute. I mean, so season ticket holders or anyone who's bought home tickets already for games will be able to go. We'll get into a situation very quickly, I guess, where there will be no away fans at games.
Yes, although as of an hour ago, this is how fast this shit has been changing in the last few days. They did ask for special permission to preserve the sporting integrity to allow away ticket fan sales.
Okay, right.
So that's a conversation that's happening behind the scenes right now.
Gotcha. I don't know what happens with Chelsea's upcoming FA Cup game, because I don't know whether all the ticket, often season ticket holders don't necessarily take all the tickets provided, so I don't know how many people would be attending that. Anyway, more importantly, they can't agree any new transfers in or out or new contracts.
In most, crucially with like current players as well.
Absolutely. So who have you got? Aspi. Who else is currently Rudiger?
I've been fucking screaming to get that deal done all fucking season. Give him all the money and the armband. That's been my fucking go-to line about Rudiger. It's unclear that will affect, but as of right now, the club is not allowed to negotiate with him or sign any new contracts until further notice.
Let's also face it. If you were Rudiger, if you were Aspi, any of these players who were previously in that situation, would you want to sign a new contract at Chelsea? This has got to be anyone who's in that 6 month or whatever it is year period where you're in that contract negotiation situation. Surely you're not going to sign a new contract with Chelsea, no matter your links to the club, your loyalty or whatever. Surely you're just going to go no to your agent. Well, your agent's going to say to you, "We need to get the fuck out of here." Surely,
yeah, and like fair enough.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I do think that like potentially at the speed at which things could move, that we could be back with a few weeks left in the season renegotiating with those players. So just for any chance Chelsea fans out there who want to cling to whatever tiny vestige of hope you have, there is a situation where we are still able to re-sign Rudiger and Aspi and Christensen this summer. So that's not off the table completely, but it's unlikely, let's say.
And what are you saying that is that situation? This special license ends
No,
middle of May?
not even. the way that one would work out is if they can... So right now, the timeline to try to agree to a sale, according to The Athletic, the latest timeline is 4 to 6 weeks.
Right, I see.
Which would put a sale happening around the end of April.
Gotcha.
So potentially the last couple of weeks of the season, they are like now sold and owned by someone else, and they're free to do whatever they want financially.
I see. Other things they can't do, they cannot sell merchandise. So for your recent fixture, the club shop was closed. I think that even program sales, I don't think happened. And the other thing, which I'm not sure if this has changed either, but they weren't allowed to spend more than £20,000 on away travel.
That is, I believe, still the number.
Still the case, right? Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So they were able to. They're playing in Lille this week in the Champions League.
Yes.
That was already bought and paid for, those tickets and that flight and whatever. So that's not a problem. Any currently already paid for, basically, things are allowed to be things.
Yeah.
But money can't go in, is essentially what it is. So they can go to Lille, but who knows with the next Champions League, if we make it past Lille, what happens there? As Thomas Tuchel put it after the press conference after the match this week, if I got to drive a van for 7 people, then I'll drive a van for 7 people. You know, we'll get there. Maybe the guys are taking a fucking train, the Eurostar.
Yeah. So it's interesting what you said earlier about a sale in 4 to 6 weeks. So there's currently a bizarre situation where you've got a banking group, a New York banking group, the Rain Group, and there is a sort of blind auction that is essentially happening. Yeah. So people have got until Friday to formally lodge their interest.
Yes.
And then essentially a blind bidding process can start.
Basically, yeah. So it was originally going to be tomorrow. That deadline got pushed back to this Friday.
Right.
Part of this is known only because one of the people who is putting in a bid, or part of a group putting in a bid, is a Chelsea fan who, on his way into the match on Saturday, the TV cameras were like, "Yo, what's the deal?" And he goes, "Best bids are Friday." So I can't have an answer until then. And then everyone was like, "Wait, what?"
What?
Okay, all right. So originally it was going to be tomorrow. Now it's Friday. I believe they are up to about 8 or 9 unofficial but known bids coming in.
Right.
From very different types of people. And we'll get to all of that shit eventually.
Literally, and obviously this is Monday night, literally an hour ago when I was watching Sky, and it's Sky, so fair enough, never wrong for long. But their presenter said that there were potentially 150 interested parties.
Yeah, I mean, we're a club that people want, for reasons, including some other people who are continuing. I hope the league is smart enough not to sell us to someone who just wants to do more sports washing.
There's interest from Saudi Arabia, apparently. I mean, oh my goodness.
Well, not the principal investment fund or the royal family.
Separate,
another totally separate, totally different thing. I hope the league's smarter than that, as much as it would be nice to just have an infinitely rich owner again. It has been a pretty good 20 years, I'm not going to lie. But I hope the league is smarter than that, because I also just don't... I'd love non-blood money to be our money. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're hearing bids on Friday. And then this is what The Athletic was saying, is that they are... the current timeline for a sale is 4 to 6 weeks, based off of that Best Bids Friday coming up.
Wow.
Now that's a really important question of when the sale is finalized, because, like we were saying before, Chelsea aren't allowed money in right now, at all. Even the money that's coming in for the TV is just going to go sit in a bank account.
It's just frozen. Yeah,
it's just
absolutely.
Frozen. Exactly. Yeah. Chelsea are allowed to keep doing things like $20,000 per game for travel and $900,000 per game for hosting games
and
at
importantly,
Stamford Bridge
paying
and all
wages.
That. Paying wages, exactly. But they're only allowed to do that from current cash reserves, as the sanctions are as of right now. These have all continually been updated and whatnot. But as of right now, Chelsea have some amount of money, very, very, very disagreement on how much that is, to continue operating. And once that money runs out, that is the real question of, does the government just let them start tapping into that TV money? Do certain accounts get unfrozen. Like, literally right now, they couldn't fill up the fucking team bus with gasoline because their credit card got declined. Like,
yes,
that happened.
Yeah. Jesus, man.
Like, that's where we're at. Petr Cech said that we're just living day to day. And, like, every day they just go in and being like, who knows? It is known the last time that official bank amount reserve number was, I believe, the summer of 2020. I'm not exactly sure on the date, but it was a long time ago. Long enough time ago that who knows what's in there. But the last time they checked, it had 18 million pounds, and that's it. That's the last official data point on it. And for context,
like a lot.
Chelsea's wages are 28 million a month. So 4 weeks is a long fucking time for, like, the long-term outcome here is probably Chelsea gets sold. Who knows what type of owner we have and what that looks like going forward, but that's probably what's going to happen. But that's not 100%.
No.
And, like, I'm sorry, but I've listened to weeks of people being like, yeah, he'll never get sanctioned. Blah, blah. Like, I don't think that the club's going to stop existing, but, like, 4 to 6 weeks with 28 million a month on wages and only 18 was in the bank account last time they checked is a problem.
That's obviously not a goer. But the thing is, that's when I said about I genuinely didn't think they'd get sanctioned. I still don't think the UK government will have it in them, and I don't think they should either, to take any direct action that results in Chelsea being wound down, because they're just so big, and it would just be such a terrible story for the UK government. So whatever they can do, it's like the credit crunch, when banks were bailed out and stuff, and then they just carry on spending insane amounts of money on whatever they want, taking massive gambles. It's not necessarily what should happen, but from a PR perspective, there's no way the UK government, I think, is going to let it happen. So I'm not saying that Chelsea won't possibly severely suffer from this. And when I say severely suffer, it could get as bad as losing massive amounts of players and getting
going into administration,
if not administration,
and
falling down a league. It could happen. I'm not saying it will happen, but when I was a kid, Leeds were a huge club, and then a mere 10 years later they were in League One, and my dad supported Luton, who were Division 1 club, and then went non-league in the space, but in the time it took me to become an adult.
Right. Yeah.
So I've seen clubs be big, maybe not Chelsea huge, but Leeds were a big club and they fell down to League One. Sunderland are a big club and they're still in League One. It does happen. And we thought we'd maybe gone past the days of this because of the sort of Super League mentality of let's solidify our position wherever possible. But then these are incredibly strange times, and we've, as I said last week, we've known who Roman Abramovich is for years, we haven't done anything about it. And
they've let other people with frankly worse things.
Yeah, I agree with you. Because while...
And I'm not for the record, sorry, and I'm going to cut you off here.
Yeah.
I'm not for the record on any level defending Roman Abramovich, and I'm not one of those Chelsea fans. And if you are one of those Chelsea fans, and thankfully less and less of that seems to have been happening at the games in terms of singing his name and stuff, but two things can be true at the same time. Chelsea fans, I need you to hear me right now. The first thing can be that he was a great owner for 20 years. And he got us trophies, and he got us players that we love, and we have all sorts of good memories around the team when he was the owner of the team and as a direct result of his actions as owner of said team. That can still be true. You don't have to not love those 20 years of Chelsea and those trophies and those players. Separate from that, he can be a bad person who did bad things, who got his money in bad ways, and we tied ourselves up with that, and now that's all coming home to roost. And it doesn't mean that anyone's out to get us. No one's after the club. No one gives a fuck about Chelsea any more than they do any other club.
Yeah.
We're not getting attacked here. They're going after Roman's money because Roman is a bad person who's tied up with Putin. And that's fine. We can be upset. I'm obviously really fucking upset with everything happening with Chelsea right now. It's a stressful situation. And you can tend to sort of veer towards a tribalistic, like, batten down the hatches mentality. But please, for the love of God, just stop defending Roman Abramovich. He was a good owner does not equal he was a good person or is a good person. Let it go. Fucking move on. Roman's time is done. Take the fucking Roman Empire banner down. Stop singing his fucking name. Get over it. It's done. Please. Sorry, Ian. That was aggressive, but I've been bottling that up.
I fully understand exactly what you're saying, but I also get the original point of, it does feel weird to me, the outpouring of let's get Roman out the game, blah, 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 when mere months ago we welcomed the Saudis into Newcastle.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I get what I get that point, and I hate whataboutery more than you know, but it's a valid point that, Roman Abramovich had links to Putin. His money comes from questionable places, obviously, links to organised crime. Is he the state leader who executed 81 people the other day? No, he's probably not. Is he the guy actually directing the Ukraine invasion? No, he's probably not. Should he be sanctioned? Absolutely. Should this have happened years ago? Probably. But I do sort of have a weird, there is a massive hypocrisy with letting the Saudis take over Newcastle.
Or even considering the Saudi bid for Chelsea now. There's obvious hypocrisy there. I'm not saying there's not, obviously. That's all obviously true.
How long is it going to be before Pep has to start answering questions? This is huge now. As in, Eddie Howe is getting asked questions that he would never have expected to have to answer when he was managing Bournemouth a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
What do you think about working for people who are linked, in inverted commas, to people who ordered the execution of 81, 82, I'm sorry, I can't remember whether it was 81 or 82, and that's bad, 81 or 82 people the other day, and how long is it going to be before Pep has to answer questions about certain things that Abu Dhabi are involved in?
Yeah, I felt bad for Tuchel when he went off on that reporter. He was just like, bro, I don't know these things. I pick 11 players, and stop asking me this. I don't know what's going to happen with the club. I don't have opinions on, I think it's horrible what's happening in Ukraine and blah, blah, blah. He went off. And, rightly so. Dude just picks 11 players. Come on.
Tuchel's been superb during this, though.
Yes.
You couldn't have really asked for much better.
No, and he's constantly been good about being I'm privileged. This is such a stupid question. We're so privileged.
Well, of course, because
think about Ukrainians. They have problems.
All of this has to be couched in that, God, I've been working the news rounds for the last few weeks, and it's been, poor me. It's been fucking awful to watch some of the stuff coming in. I said to you, I think, not since I was working some of the news channels when the Haiti earthquake happened, and not since that have I seen such genuinely awful things that we don't broadcast because it's fucking just unwatchable,
Yeah.
And so all of this has got to be couched like that because this is just fucking football and who fucking cares?
Right. Very much.
But it does matter because of the sports washing element that Chuck, I think last week, Chuck was excellent on.
Yeah, you guys were great. That was really good.
Yeah, cheers. It's such a tough, especially because I feel like I'm in such a privileged position, both. Well, in every way possible, I don't live in a fucking war zone. I'm relatively financially secure. I'm white. I'm male. It's just that whenever I talk about anything, I just feel like I've got almost no right. But it's just everything we talk about with this, with the football side of things, has to be couched in the fact that none of it fucking matters, except that football has made it easier for these things to be normalized into, we've all accepted Roman Abramovich for years.
The sports washing works. Just look at these idiot Chelsea fans that I'm talking about. That is literally the point of sports washing.
Yeah.
Is that those people now are defending Roman Abramovich.
He has put so much money into Chelsea's made a loss every year since he's owned them, and he's bankrolled that. And there's a fucking reason. It's not just, I love football, let's just chuck 150 million a year at it.
Yeah, I do want to mostly get back to the silly footballness of it, though, because I'm not a socio-political expert on any level whatsoever, so I just feel like we would just be talking out of our assholes. But I do still have a little bit of the taste of vomit in my mouth from when you said down a division and compared us to Leeds. So I want to address that specifically for the other Chelsea fans out there listening. Here's why I don't think, really long term, that we have to be worried, to the extent that we are at the moment. By which I mean the club's going to exist, and the club's going to be a top flight club, and probably at worst mid-table if we're being honest. And the reason for that is that Roman spent money on infrastructure. We have Cobham is one of the best academies in the world, let alone England.
Yeah.
And that has produced people like Reece James, Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount, Fikayo Tomori, all of those players that are currently out and about and being fucking amazing through Chelsea's academy is a result of the last 20 years of investment in those facilities and in those things. That doesn't go away. They can't demolish the building.
Yeah.
We now live in a world where whoever buys Chelsea is going to have at least enough money to continue to run things to a scale of, let's say, even Spurs or Arsenal. If we want to go to other London teams that aren't as rich or as free spending as Chelsea have been, let's say. More fiscally responsible. Because Roman was looking to sports wash. He wasn't looking to not lose money. Whoever comes in is going to be looking to spend a more reasonable amount of money.
You would imagine.
Unless they are also doing sports washing. And then we have an infinite budget and trophies forever and ever and ever. But honestly, I would rather not at this point. I'm kind of glad that we're sort of washing our hands of that whole thing. But I think the most likely outcome here is that we get some consortium of American owners or American and English owners who, if we're lucky, are more like the Fenway Sports Group and the way they've run Liverpool. And if we're unlucky, we turn into another United/Arsenal.
That's the thing.
I dodged the Arsenal bullet 20 years ago when I chose Chelsea over them, and I was between those two. And at least I got the last 20 years of good trophies and good happy memories out of it. And if my fate is to now be an Arsenal fan in blue, then fuck. But I think there's a basement. I think there's a basement in terms of our infrastructure and how much we're worth and the people that are going to come in and buy us who are buying us for the brand. And the brand has to continue to be a brand for that to work. Yeah. So I think worst case scenario, we are a Europa League team here. So from now on.
The only minor things I've got to say about that is two things. One, the brand, as I said, it's ridiculous in my view that suddenly we've all realised who Roman was. And so you've got your shirt sponsor deciding overnight that they don't want to be linked to you anymore, which I find semi-ridiculous. As I say, we all knew who Roman was. I know that now there's been actions made by Russia that have highlighted it, but to suddenly say we don't want to be associated with you anymore, I find a shallow PR exercise. And
but so is putting your name on the front of a soccer jersey to begin with.
Yeah, of course, but it's just it feels so sort of disingenuous to suddenly be like, oh right, no, we don't want to be involved with this anymore. But what I'm saying is the brand, if there's a level of toxicity with the brand, that might hurt you going forward financially, because if sponsors are pulling out, that's iffy, that's not great.
We've lost two decent sized sponsors so far. We lost Hyundai, who the arm sponsorship and the practice jerseys, and we lost 3.
I mean, will you even be able to buy plain shirts because you haven't got the liquid funds to possibly buy?
Unclear, because they played the match on Saturday with still the 3 on the front because they don't have jerseys and they can't spend money on jerseys.
Yeah, even though they'd requested for them to be taken off, it was like, well, it's too late. We haven't got plain shirts to wear.
The merch thing is upsetting on a personal level because I always wait for my birthday to get a Chelsea jersey for the year. My birthday being in May, so towards the end of the season, And this year it was going to be get Aspi, because Aspi's retiring or probably leaving the club. It's his last year. He's been our captain. He's been here for forever. He's won everything there is to win under as a part of Chelsea. Like, he's as much of a club legend in my eyes as Terry or Lampard or Drogba or Cech.
Yeah.
So we obviously I went on Chelsea Megastore as soon as I heard this, and they was like, nope, we're not selling stuff. I was like, fuck, okay.
Yeah.
So I like looked around, and there was one store about an hour away that like sold, that is basically like an actual soccer fan store, and not just like sometimes you can get the U.S. men's national team jersey if it's a World Cup year.
Okay.
I guess you don't have that problem over there. Anyway, so we drove first thing Saturday morning because it was far away, so we couldn't like go during the week. And we're there when it opened, and I got the last Chelsea jersey, and I got Aspi's name on the back. And that was actually weirdly kind of an emotional moment. Like, I'm getting a little emotional right now talking about it. Because as a fan from a different country, like, the ability to engage with the merch is, as unbelievably, disgustingly capitalistic that is, one of the ways that I can engage with my fandom.
Of course.
So I'm glad I was able to get that Aspi jersey. That was a relief in a certain sense. But yeah, I don't know.
So the second thing I was going to say is, because it was just two things you mentioned there, brand, one. Secondly, I don't know, so you might be able to tell me any different. When it comes to this weird auction situation we've got with the Rain Group now, I don't know whether you know, but does there have to be some sort of proof of funds, i.e., could a group come in and do exactly what the Glazers did and do a leverage buyout where they don't actually necessarily have the funds, they borrow the funds, buy the club, transfer that debt to the club instantaneously? I mean, I don't know, and maybe I'm asking you something you don't know, but
I don't know. I think, first of all, no one knows, because I don't think they've made those sorts of decisions yet, given the extraordinary circumstances that the league and the government of England currently finds itself in.
Yeah.
And even if they have, like, the process of sale is very obscured intentionally. Like,
does Roman even have to sell?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So Roman still owns the team.
Yeah.
So he could just say no.
Yeah, because there's no benefit to him from selling that I can see, because the money obviously gets frozen. He probably never sees it. So,
well,
I don't know.
I don't know. I could see the double pivot guys were talking about this, that it'll sit frozen in an account for 15 years, and then Roman will come back and get his $20 billion out of England's economy. Like, that might well happen.
Yeah.
My understanding is that the current plan is that it will be agreed to be sold by Roman, who is not allowed to get any of the money, correct? That then who is the one doing the selling and who gets the money and where does that money go is entirely unclear and is not a conversation that they're even remotely close to having.
Yeah.
They're trying to just get this thing sold, and then they're going to kind of try to iron out the details of, like, who am I writing this check to?
I mean, there could even be some shithousery, like, as you've said, yeah, like there, because it's not Roman Abramovich who is listed as the owner, it's his holding company. Right. Like, I don't know what jiggery pokery could be done there, but like you say, I'm sure there's a way that he could get that money eventually, because these guys don't leave things to chance generally. He always knew, as small a chance as it might be, he always knew there was a chance of this happening, and it seems like someone like Roman would not have some sort of plan. Do you know what I mean? Long term. Yeah. I don't know. I also don't know what his worth is. Does 1.5234 billion, does it even matter? Or was the sports washing all worth it in the end? It's.
I mean, he's lost like $5 of his own dollars net loss, billion, investing into the team without getting any of it back, like on top of other stuff. So, like, yeah, I think he's pretty rich. I think his yacht collection was worth several billion.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he cares about the money. And it does seem like he has agreed to sell. That he's not going to, like, be an obstacle in the sale process. Hopefully that remains true. But as of right now, that seems to be the going understanding. And I think that everyone just wants to like get this out in the rearview mirror as quick as possible.
Even Roman,
even the government, everybody just like wants to be like, this is really confusing and a highly tenuous situation. We need to just get this out of the way, and then no one will ask any questions.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Because this is a fucking crazy situation. To me, and again, I am nothing like a legal expert. I must preface every sentence with that. But this seems to me like more of a seizure than a sanction in regards to specifically Chelsea. And I don't know what sorts of behind the scenes concessions could be being made, if any. I don't know. Genuinely, I don't know. That wasn't even me trying to be like conspiracy theory. Although now my conspiracy theory brain is like, oh, conspiracy theory, definitely. What sort of negotiations have been made to allow that to take place? Or if that's just the UK government being like, we're going to try to overreach and see if anything happens? Question mark? Who knows? But they're taking this and then they're selling it. And he doesn't have any input into that. And that money is not going to him. So I don't really legally see how that's any different from a seizure. Other than the money, I guess, isn't going to the government either. Because then it would be a seizure. So like, who's that money going to? It's going to sit in an account for 15 years. Yeah. Probably. They found a way to privatize seizures.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what do you think is going to happen then? Like, if you were betting, what am I in for the rest of my life?
That is a hell of a question, because I think you are in for some big group. Exactly what you said. I think it will probably be some American group. I think there's been two Americans who have been very mouthy in the media saying how much they would like the club. Mm-hmm. And there, who knows? Because as you say, if you get a Fenway Sports Group and someone who's will spend the money well, then you'll probably be okay. But if you get any one of the number of other types of owners of football clubs there is, then I don't know. And I don't necessarily have the same confidence as you that mid-table is the floor.
Okay.
I get what you're saying, though. I do get what you're saying about infrastructure. Things are different from the days of the 90s and clubs like Leeds having their big fall, but it could go very badly if contracts. I don't know if someone manages to buy the club but then doesn't run it in the same. As I say, £150 million a year.
Yeah.
When I talk about Peterborough and the current owners and them not being able to compete at a championship level, it is still all said with the love of, thank fuck they've kept us going for as long as they have, though, because owners can be shit in football, and look what's happened with Derby and everything. And so even though we have not competed in any way this year in the championship, I'm still so thankful for when I saw someone who was nowhere near as rich as Roman Abramovich signing cheques for £25,000 a week to just keep the club going. And you've got to... Chuck was saying someone's going to expect to make a profit out of Chelsea, and that hasn't happened for 20 years. Well, more than that, because obviously there's...
I disagree with that fundamentally. I don't think that that's the value of a club for a rich person. Is not in the year-to-year operations and profit margins. It's in, I paid $2 billion for Chelsea, and 10 years from now when I sell them, I'm going to sell them for $12 billion.
That's true.
It's a long-term investment in the actual ownership of the club, and then within that, they will spend as little as possible to be as valuable as possible.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, fair enough. I get what you're saying about infrastructure, and that will help, and the youth, the youth army, the loan army that you've got. Will definitely help, but I've seen things collapse before, and it's.
I mean, you only need to look at Everton to to see how quickly you can go from Europa League to relegation scrap.
Well, quite, yeah. I mean, do you want to talk about football this week? We've done quite a long time on Chelsea.
We're not on Audacity, so I don't know how long we've been going.
We've been going a long time. But, I mean, I think we should maybe just hit the highlights of other football this week.
Okay, sure. Let's do this genuinely rapid fire. Wolves-Watford. Wolves 4, Watford 0. Any takes?
No, I don't want to go through game by game.
Okay. Chelsea soccer stuff, I'll talk about that since I'm here.
Yes.
1.8 against Norwich. 0.8 against Newcastle. Not great, but at least we're back to Havertz up front. Havertz and Mount have been looking really good. Pulisic, when he's healthy, looks really good. Reece was back, and now he's back out, but then he'll be back again. Who knows? I've been gone for a while. But the more we go back to playing the old system and Havertz up front, and the less Lukaku there is on the field, and that's not anything against Lukaku. I just don't think it has worked, and he hasn't been used, and it's too late to try to sort that out now. We're doing good. I think we're doing good in the Champions League. I feel weirdly hopeful about our soccer at the moment.
Yeah, well, that's because directly as a result, I think, of just accepting what's happened with Lukaku. When Lukaku and Havertz have been on the field together, it's remarkable how much Havertz is making the right moves and the right runs, and Lukaku isn't. And that's bizarre for a player who I've never thought was lacking in confidence. That's something I've never associated with Romelu Lukaku. And I don't know whether we've all been sold a lie by Serie A football because, you know, he...
No. Lukaku's mint, man.
Well, yeah, but you were left with him. He did very well at Everton. He went to Man United and it didn't happen. And then he went there, and now this is interesting in that Lukaku said that the setup at Inter was, you know, way better than Man United, and they pushed all his buttons, and the nutrition was better, and
I remember all
literally that. The whole holistic approach was better, and he flourished, you know, and he did amazingly. And then he's gone to Chelsea, and it's not worked so much. So we've had this sort of someone who I always thought would, because he's an intelligent guy, and I think he's an intelligent footballer, and I always thought, you know, this is going to be someone who builds and builds and builds, and he's going to become a cultured, incredible footballer, and it's sort of stalled again at Chelsea. And is it just that at Inter he found the system and the whole approach and everything that suited him, and he should never have left, and he didn't want to leave apparently. But I don't know. You're now seeing a player who is almost scared to make a run off of a defender.
I will say this: there are two types of excellent players. There are players who are excellent full stop because of just who they are. And you could plop them down in most teams and in different positions, and they will find a way to do the thing that they do that is great, and will excel at that. And then there are players who are excellent within a system. And I do not mean that one or the other is better, because I tend to actually find that players who are excellent in a system can be so optimized in their excellence because of the system around them that they can tend to push a team to higher highs.
Yeah.
Probably. I think of like Mbappe at PSG right now. I don't know that Mbappe is excellent, period, but he's the best fucking player in the world when he's playing at PSG in that system.
Yeah.
I think Lukaku has proven himself over the course of his career, especially now given the new bit of feedback from Chelsea being there, to be excellent in a system and probably not excellent full stop.
Right. Okay.
And the system just doesn't work right now. And maybe it won't in England. Maybe he is suited to a different league. That happens too, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's not excellent. I just don't think it's working at Chelsea.
Fair enough. Who else have we got to talk about then this week?
Liverpool, title race on, 2-0 against the mighty Brighton.
It is. I mean, this is the thing. Liverpool, other than the first 10 minutes, I think Brighton had a very, very good first 10 minutes and a goalkeeper who should not have been on the field. Chuck was on the Slack saying, right, am I just being Brighton biased here, or should Sanchez have gone for that? And I find it unbelievable that VAR looked at that and didn't suggest that there should have been further action.
Oh, VAR had themselves a weekend.
Didn't
Thank
they?
you, by the way. Thanks, VAR. Appreciate it.
Yeah, fucking hell, yeah, that's a good point. Jesus, Newcastle.
Good looks. We appreciate the help.
Newcastle
We needed the moral boost.
Fucking deserved a penalty. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, and Sanchez, minimum yellow, but probably red. I mean, it was just awful. And maybe I wonder whether the referee in the VAR didn't just get slightly sidetracked by the fact that Liverpool had actually scored the goal, and so
right.
It's like, but it doesn't matter. You should still play the advantage of the goal and look at that completely objectively. And I'm not sure that's exactly what happened, because he wiped him out, for fuck's sake. I mean, what do you think? Did you think yellow, red? Happy with VAR not overturning that?
I don't care. I don't. No, I honestly.
Jesus Christ.
It should have been a red. I mean, it should have been a red, right? VAR sucked, but whatever.
And also, you've been very negative about the fact that there's a title race on, which I understand, because Man City, they've got points on the board, blah, blah, blah. But Liverpool continue to win, 1-2-0. They continue to scrape away. They're
lingering enough to have it be an non-insignificant chance.
Mm-hmm.
538 has them at 75% to 24% right now.
Okay.
So that's not zero.
Yeah.
Like, Man City are much more likely, but it's not 95% much more likely. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a title race on as of now, even if they are kind of lingering. But talk to me again after they play. Because if Liverpool win that game, oh boy, we got to have a conversation about Liverpool and City and the run into the season. Because that one game is really going to, stats. I shouldn't be one to think this, but momentum's a thing. Like, emotional momentum is a thing.
Yeah.
It's not measurable yet, particularly, so maybe it's not. Maybe it's just our confirmation bias and whatever. But
it's not measurable yet until we all get chips in our heads.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get there. Just give the equations time and they'll sort it out.
Yeah, definitely.
If Liverpool win that, then yes. But until then, I don't think we have a race on. I think we have a potential for a race.
A race for a race.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how I would say.
Okay.
Speaking of race for a race, I guess we should check in on the top 4 race after the Man United Tottenham game, which went exactly the right way for Arsenal in terms of their chances, because Arsenal are now up to 70% for that top 4 spot.
Yeah.
Tottenham 15, United 11. So United never really was in it, and Tottenham needed to win to kind of.
Do you know what's interesting about those numbers, actually, is that I looked at the table earlier and was like, well, Arsenal, they feel like an absolute lock for 4th place now. Mm-hmm. And you're saying they're 70%. And I'm arguing there's a title race when Man City are 75% to win. So that's interesting. Maybe I need to reevaluate what I'm thinking about these chances. But Arsenal looking decent now. I mean, it's tricky because I don't know. It's Leicester, isn't it? So I don't know. They're always expected to win, I think.
Yeah.
So but they are playing well. The midfield seems to be solid in a way that seemed unthinkable 2 years ago. So
yep. I mean, they have noted excellent manager Mikel Arteta at the helm. So of course,
oh, right, yeah.
Everybody knows this. He's excellent. Yes. No one's ever said otherwise. Obviously.
Yep. Well, you capitulated really quickly on our Arteta feature.
No, that was sarcastic. I'm not yet. Honestly, I haven't watched enough Arsenal lately to have an opinion. Maybe he is good now. I'd have to actually do. I haven't seen enough to change my mind. I'll say that.
Okay.
Maybe I should. I don't know, but I don't want to watch Arsenal, especially if I'm about to fucking start watching the new Arsenal, but in blue. Oh. But I think your read on Arsenal is correct. I think 70% is very likely, and I think 75% for the title is very likely. I think you're just trying to beef up the Liverpool chances a little bit there, but trust your gut. You're correct on both of those things being pretty much a lock, or at least very likely, with City and Arsenal there.
Spurs again. It was a funny old game, that one. I enjoyed it. It was fun, but it wasn't fun seeing he must not be named to get a hat-trick, but I thought Tottenham
were... Is that what happened? I genuinely have, actively disengaged with Man United this season. I don't want to know what's going on with them, so I turn it off. I, don't look. He scored a hat-trick? What a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, but it was also a hat trick, certainly of. It felt like it was of Tottenham's making, really, because certainly I didn't look at FBref. I just looked on a much worse model, I'm sure, but I saw that Tottenham on the one I looked at won the XG battle, and Tottenham's defending, I felt like on all three goals was seriously lacking. On the first goal was a really good strike from outside the area, but only because Dyer gave him the time to do it. And just you don't stand off any Premier League striker, but certainly not someone like that, and expect to not suffer from it.
Yeah, if there's
very,
one person in the league you don't want to give a bunch of time to,
close him down.
So as to not punish them for being slow. Your read is correct according to the numbers as well.
Oh, okay.
On FBref, they conceded only 1.1, but they conceded 3 goals. So that like Man United tripled their XG in that match. Doesn't speak well of Tottenham.
Oh, I must just say, though, I did very much enjoy a Harry Maguire own goal, because it's always fun to see that, and I very much look forward to the next time. As I said last week, because last week he was shite as well, and it'll be just great when he scores his next goal and shushes the critics. Fucking, honestly, I really, considering how much I liked him as an England player a mere 9 months ago.
Good old Hazem Agaza.
I really despise him as a Man United player, and I think maybe as a person.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Do we want to check in on Palace City, or do we probably not want to know what that scoreline is?
Do you know what? I mean, look, I watched the first 20 minutes before we started recording, and Palace were having a go.
Really?
What's the score?
Come on, Palace. Come on.
They were. I saw a good couple of attacks. And it is still 0-0.
Hey!
13 minutes to go.
13 minutes to go. I almost feel like we should stick around for 13 minutes just to hear the end, but also I want to go. I'm hungry.
No, we won't stick around. Although we did get a voice note from Chuck, so we should probably play that in. Oh,
okay. Was this while we were recording?
No, this was pre the game. So it was pre-kickoff. So it was before we even started recording.
Okay.
So here we go. So this is... Yeah, he didn't know that for now it's held to 0-0. So let's see what he has to say.
Hello, friends. I thought, since I'm not going to be here this week, in the style of Oscar Puente, I would record a 30-second take for you. Sounds you can hear in the background, lots of traffic. I'm recording this from the streets, yeah? You know what I mean? Guerrilla podcasting. Palace haven't played yet, so I guess the 30 seconds starts now. Yeah, we won. Oh, amazing. Vieira's a tactical genius. Or, Pep's a weirdo and we lost. Or, good news, we got a point. That's nice. Another draw. Ian, you can just cut those out as appropriate. And now the rest of the time, I'm just going to make a fart noise.
Okay. That's quite a long fart noise at the end. Seems unnecessary.
Well, maybe he had Chipotle for lunch.
Quite. So it seems like the point might be on, but there we go. We'll
see.
Another
point. Yay. Oh, I hope it's not another they conceded late.
Yeah, no, that would be a pisser for him, definitely. But sad. If it stays 0-0, they've taken 4 points off Man City this season.
Bogey team.
That'd be fucking incredible.
Bogey team. Yeah. Liverpool would love that. Oh, that has implications.
Oh, that does actually. Yeah. Now let's see.
All right, come on, Palace. I'd love an actual title race. I would love a title race.
Oh, if we do finish recording before it finishes, and then there's a 95th minute goal, it's going to be very annoying. Everton now look absolutely appalling under Lampard. It seems him taking that job was... Because I don't even necessarily blame Lampard for Everton's appallingness.
No, don't let Adam hear you saying that. He hates Lampard and with an unreasonable fury.
Unreasonable. I am also in the Lampard has done nothing as a manager. Absolutely nothing.
I don't think we have any evidence that he's particularly good.
Yeah.
But I also don't think that we have much evidence that he's particularly bad. I think he's just been in situations where he's mostly irrelevant.
Possibly true, yeah. I've slagged him off for Derby in the past because he set himself a target of promotion and then failed to do it. which I think is a bad thing to do. I mean, I know it sounds like a very 90s thing to say, but Alex Ferguson never... Man United could be 15 points clear and he wouldn't say that they'd won the title yet. You know, you just don't predict promotion, or you don't set yourself that target. I just don't think you ever do anything like that. Then he took the Chelsea job. It didn't go great. And then the Everton job, which it's a bad job to take. It's just
really stupid decision on his part.
Because they look awful at the minute.
They're well and truly in the relegation race. I mean, the real table tells you that as well, but their 36% is Leeds, 38% is Everton, and 45% is Burnley for that last spot. So it's basically a coin flip between those three teams.
Yeah, there's a real race to the bottom there with relegation.
And Newcastle, only 2%.
Well, yeah, I mean, their recent form just has, pushed them above. I think that's a done deal now. I don't think they're in it anymore. I mean, they'll be looking to push up to mid-table now. But yeah, I think I thought the celebrations at Leeds were possibly a touch over the top when you're beating Norwich. I don't know.
Hey, we beat Norwich on Thursday, and it was very important.
Very important.
It's the most important game. So.
Yeah, sure. I get it. It's the first win for the new manager, but to only beat Norwich with a sort of 94th minute winner, I think you've got to calm down a little bit.
Here we go, Ian, hater of all things joyous.
I'm gonna get that reputation, but I don't.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you're earning that reputation, Mr. Simpson. You are not gonna get that reputation. Own your actions.
Oh man, yeah, I've got to think about this.
Yeah, I mean, we just need Chuck on here because he also hates fun. Both of you are just way too British, honestly. Emily was commenting that we were listening last week and she was like, man, they get so fucking English when you're not on there. I was like, I know, it's in the bleak midwinter. It sure fucking is right now.
In the bleak midwinter. Yeah, that's possibly true. Yeah.
It's okay to like fun things and it's okay to be happy. I feel like I need to say that to the whole country of England every once in a while to remind you that, like, happiness is acceptable,
It's so funny you say that because genuinely when he sort of, like, hugged his coaches and stuff, I got a little bit annoyed. And now I'm sort of evaluating why that is. Oh, God, I do hate fun, don't I?
Yeah, a little bit.
But, whatever. I don't know whether we've got anything else to talk about because Norwich are down. Watford are down probably despite the win. I don't think that they're going to survive. And like you say, coin flip between the last three. So I'm not gonna bother going through fixtures because we are in the midst of fixtures as we speak, and there will be Wednesday and Thursday games. So all that's left to say is thank you to our Patreon producers. We've got Let's Go Like Chuck does. We've got Sam Danby, we've got Nate Whittam, Mark Daffin, Johnny Worthington, Jeff Pedder, and Andy Penpraise, who's from Sutton. Oscar, I accept this has probably not been the easiest episode for you to record on your return after 2 or 3 weeks off. It's probably been a tricky one for you, so well done, mate. And
thanks.
If we get you back in another couple of weeks, we'll have to reassess the situation. But
yeah. Hopefully by Monday, which will be my last episode for a couple of weeks again, we'll have more information about the sale and the Best Bids Friday and how that all went down. And at the very least, it'll be fun to talk with you and Chuck about not depressing things.
Yeah. Oh, feel free, man. All right. Well, good luck and goodbye, Oscar.
Bye.